Welcome back to another episode of Elevated Dialogue here on the Unkle Junior Network. Hold on, what is going on? Oh, here we go. As I said before, welcome back to another episode of Elevated Dialogue here on the Unkle Junior Network. I go by the name of the Unkle Junior, and with me today is my co-host, all the way from the rough side of the mountain. We have Mr. Antoine Christopher. We got started late today because Antoine had to slick his hair back and make his milkshake. So we apologize for the delay, but things must be done behind the scenes. All right, that's just part of the show. What's going on, Antoine?
Things are good. Blessed that I am. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes.
And it's only two of us tonight, right now. A couple other people, I've already talked to them. They may be showing up a little bit later. If not, hey, it is what it is. Like I said,
I'm good. I'm good at two.
Huh?
I'm good at two.
Hey, it is what it is.
I'm good.
Huh?
I'm good. Two is great.
Before we get started, thank you all who have taken the time out of your day to join us. We understand that it is Thanksgiving Eve. A lot of people may be traveling, visiting with family, different things like that. If you are visiting family, or if you're at home and you guys are sitting around a TV looking for something to do, share the video with someone. They may get something out of it. A shout out to all the unks, the nephews, and all the other people who support the show and the channel. Special shout out to all the servicemen. We salute you and thank you for your service. While you are here, feel free to join the chat, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you can be notified as soon as other videos drop. So other than that, Antoine, man, you ready to go ahead and get started? We're going to be talking about, women like men with brains. So since women like men with brains, we got to talk about, some of the things that we as men are feeding our brains or should be feeding our brains. And I'll tell you where all of this came from. I don't know if you remember, you probably do a couple weeks ago after one of the shows, that show was What Men Need from Our Women. A lot of us stayed on after the show for a few minutes, and men were acknowledging each other's accomplishments, supporting each other, buying each other's books, and sharing knowledge with each other. By the end of the night, there was a list of books that were shared among the group. I ended up buying me a book that you recommended and a couple of other people had read. And this got me thinking. As men, we are constantly evolving, and in order to evolve in a positive direction, we need to feed our brains. But what should we be feeding our brains? Most of the men on this panel, or both of us, are on the right side of 40, which means we have been feeding our brains many things for many years. Some were good and some not so good. Some were things we fed our brains that allowed us to be more productive. Have you ever read a book and found so much value in it that you applied the lessons learned? Do you know someone who has a great podcast, YouTube channel, or Instagram and just had to share it because the information was so valuable? There are many places men can go to get information to feed their brain. The key is knowing what information is going to produce positive results and which ones may not lead in the direction you want. On this episode of Elevated Dialogue, we want to share some of the things we have fed our brains over the years and some of the things we still feed our brains. Not only that, but we want to share with you how we use what we have fed our brains to gain success in certain areas of our lives. So there was a mouthful, Antoine. So I just want to start with this, man. Based off of all of that, what do you think some of the things that I will start with this. What are some things that you have fed your brains in the past that have created some sort of success in your current life?
Okay, so I can take it from my own experience, and I'll speak from my own experience. But I think what I'm about to say, a lot of people can relate to. So that being said, I base everything around my art, right? I'm very passionate about it. It's what I do. It is comes to who I am as a person, right? And I want to be the best at it. Every day it's evolving. Every day I'm learning. Every day I'm growing. I don't really don't pay attention to what other artists do. I just look at their work and do my own critique, because art is not about who's better than who. It's about, what, floats your boat, what you like, right? It's about creativity. So there's no really boundary on creativity. Are there bad artists out there? Oh, hell yeah. Are there good artists out there? Oh yeah. And then there's my level, right? Uh,
Hey, I ain't mad at you.
um, that being said, right? So I think that people, what I feed my brain in every day is what can I do to impact my life? What can I do that's going to make my life grow? What's my next project, and how can I get the best imagery I want for what I need to do? I'm always trying to be the best at what I do, and I think that's what I feed my brain. I say, because I want to be at a certain status with my art. You hear artwork sell for like millions of dollars. I think they sold. I'm not even going to go to Picasso because he's dead and gone. But you can have you can have a Boris Vallejo, and he's alive, and you could $1.2 million or $12 million or and but some of them are dead. The most and I don't want to be one of those guys that are dead and then my work becomes exponentially high priced. So I don't want that.
But you won't know anyway.
I won't know anyway. That's right. But I still would like to know that I'm alive and I was able to see it.
Yeah.
And that's what I feed my brain knowledge of that. I feed my brain every day. My passion. I just load it in there. And while I'm drawing or in my studio, I listen to things that help build me up as a person, rather positive thinking. Everything that comes in is positive, positive, positive. I want to learn about Bitcoin. I'll put something on that says Bitcoin for beginners. So I'm always trying to be that sponge when I draw. And then I'll put on some entertainment just as background noise so I can focus in on what I need to focus in. So as men, I don't think we have the luxury of becoming complacent. I think we don't have that luxury of just being this. I think we always need to be thriving, and not only in a financial sense, but a growth sense, knowledge sense. At least know your surroundings. Be a better person. What can you do to be a better person? Become the man that you see that you want to become. And get inspiration from others. So I feed myself a lot of that to grow, right? And being at the age I'm at now, and I say to myself, okay, my next level of life is I want to create my own family, and I really do. So my focus is securing enough to make sure I can give the life to my family as my parents gave to me, right? But behind that is I think what really molded me as a man is because I got the love of both parents. I got the love from both parents equally, just differently. And I want to be able to pass all what I've learned onto my legacy, my next generation, right? Like my brother is now passing on to his son and daughter, and my other brother is passing on to his son, and watching them grow and watching them make the mistakes he made. But he's now in my dad's role of saying, yeah, been there, did that, done it. This is what you got to do to fix it. So I want to have, that's the next level of experience I'm looking for in my own life.
Hey man, I appreciate that. Hey, welcome to the show from the barbecue schools of hard knocks. We have Mr. John Washington with us this evening. I appreciate your presence, brother. Appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come over here and share some of your experiences and all of that great knowledge you got in that dome of yours. So I appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
Welcome, John.
What's happening?
Not much, man. Hey, I know you've been backstage for a couple of minutes and you've been watching a little bit. So what are some things that you have fed your brain in the past that have created success currently in your life?
Ooh, one thing that I've started doing is I take breaks from social media frequently now. I don't, I'm not one of those people that feel like I gotta announce that I'm fixing to get off social media. I'll just get off. I might be off a month. I might be off for a couple weeks. It just depends on how I feel. But that's one thing that I feel like everybody needs to do is it's like a fast. I fast from social media. I'll get off TikTok. I'll get off Facebook, Instagram. I get off everything and just kind of I pick up a book and start reading. It might a couple of weeks and I might read a couple of books. It just depends on what I got going on. But something that I started feeding my mind is reading more. People. That's one of the things. I think we talked about that a couple of weeks ago after the show. If you want to put some knowledge in a book and keep it away from somebody, put it in a book. That's how you keep it away from folks. So I started picking up books, and like I said, I bought a little cheap bookshelf, but it's a 3-shelf bookshelf that I've got the top shelf full, and I'm working on the second shelf. But just picking up any type of book, anything that's about they call them self-help books. I don't necessarily consider them self-help books. I look at like the entrepreneur books, things that it might be considered self-help, but it's more or less for me, it's just different books that are geared more towards guidance on how to be more persistent, how to keep yourself motivated, and just different tools that's going to benefit somebody that's trying to be an entrepreneur. I love reading now. I used to hate it, but I love it now because I realize some of the things that I go through, I ain't the only one that's going through them. And that's one of the things that I feel like a lot of people feel like, and that's one of the reasons why we don't talk about a lot of stuff, especially men. We don't talk about a lot of stuff because we don't have enough people. The elders didn't really tell us how to deal with the certain things. They didn't really explain that, the things that we go through, everybody's been through. They just don't talk about it. So it's one of them things where we feel like we got to learn the hard way when we could actually learn the easy way if we talk more. But reading any kind of book, I feel like is one of the best things in the world that I put into myself to try to better myself.
Yeah, man, I totally agree with that reading, and that goes, with something that I was thinking about. You was talking about like the elders and different things like that. And one of the things that I've learned in the past that's benefiting and helping me right now is the value of the wolf pack. You know what I mean? Is super key, because the good thing about having a wolf pack or a group of good dudes that's around you is that you guys get to hold each other accountable about stuff. You know what I mean? Even, on this panel, like there's been a whole bunch of accountability that have been, came out on this show, whether by it being of their own individual or either somebody bringing it out. And sometimes, it may have taken show after show, not necessarily that anybody's on here trying to change anybody or anything like that, but when you're around other men of quality, you learn different things from each other. How to be, how not to be, how can, maybe some things that, that you have that I can learn from, that I can use to improve on, to make myself overall, better as a man. So I would say for me, definitely something that I've learned in the past that has created success currently in my life is just the value of the wolf pack, man. Because it's not a show that goes by that we haven't had in the last year where I haven't learned something from somebody on the panel. You know what I mean? And it is so rewarding, when you can be around other brothers, other people, what I'm saying, of some good quality, and where you guys can share your experiences and impart into each other. So like I said, man, the wolf pack is where it's at, and it's been super beneficial in my life.
It's definitely helped me. One of the things I want to add something to that. One of the things, I got a partner that used to tell me all the time, iron sharpens iron. If when you're around solid people that have the intelligence to have a intelligent conversation without feeling like you being ridiculed, but you're getting constructive criticisms, the conversation can do nothing but grow then. But you got to be around those right people. And like I said, I think I said in the group one time, it's an amazing feeling when you get around men that you can actually talk to, and they can accept criticism and not get defensive, but understand, okay, yeah, you're right. I need to make that change. That's rare. A lot of times we get around these sensitive jokers that if you say something to them, they get offended. I can't stand that. Me and Vic talked about that one time. One of the biggest reasons why I don't comment on people's stuff on Facebook a lot of times is because I'm not fixing to argue with you on social media. If you can't take the criticism, get off. People quick to say, this is my page, I can say what I want. You're right. But if you're friends with somebody, or if your posts are public, if I see them, I got the right to say what I want. Now, you got the right to get mad and block me and do whatever, but that's childish, and you'll never get anywhere in life like that, because people need to be able to, you need to be able to receive that criticism and say, okay, you know what, it's a possibility that I need to change this. But you don't have to say, okay, or they trying to talk down to me, or like we said last week after the show. One of the things that I feel like is the biggest issue now with people is they're too ignorant. They don't know how to have a basic conversation. It's not criticism, or I'm not jumping down your throat, or I'm not talking about you in a negative way if I try to correct you, or if I try to give you my perspective on something. People get so sensitive and get aggravated when you get on a post, or you don't agree with them. They feel like you trying to talk trash to them or something. And it's not about that. The only way we ever grow is by being able to hear someone else and hear their perspective. We got tunnel vision. A lot of people have tunnel vision. And I think I said this on one of the shows before. This is something that I learned in 2020. Everybody was focused on what was going on with the pandemic and not being able to go places. I focused on myself. And one of the things that I learned is perspective. I don't look at anything one-sided anyway. So if somebody tells me something and I hear somebody trying to say, oh, they wrong, I'm quick to say, man, no, I ain't going to say that they wrong. You got to try to look at it from somebody else's perspective, because the tunnel vision that you have is just seeing your perspective. Once you realize there's more than one perspective on any subject, you get to start seeing growth, because you learn that I'm not always right, but I'm not always wrong either. It's just a different perspective, because you're not going to see what I see, and I'm not going to see what you see. So it's just a matter of learning that.
But there's one thing.
Hold on real quick, Antoine. Welcome to the show, all the way from the Mount Rushmore of coaches. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Coach Dwayne Dwyer. Brother, appreciate you being here. Appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule and your travels to come over here and hang out tonight, man. I know, like I said, it's holiday season. People are traveling, so appreciate you. Appreciate your time.
No, man, as always, it's an honor to be a part of the show. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you fine.
Great. Yeah, as always, it's a pleasure to be a part of the show. And, I apologize for being a little late. Traffic was just it was a bear today, man.
Oh, it's the worst day.
But, again, as always, thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you. Antoine, I'll let Antoine finish his comment. And then after that, Coach, if you can, jump on this question that's scrolling across the bottom of your screen. So go ahead, Antoine.
I was just going to piggyback off what John said about the pandemic. And he's right, because one thing the pandemic taught me was I became in the best shape of my life during the pandemic. I just focused on me. I got the things that I've always wanted to get to. And it shows what can happen when you quiet your mind and focus on you, because you didn't want to be around nobody, right? And it forced you to look inside. It forced you to discover yourself, see your mistakes, question yourself, question things you've done, because you only had you to think about. It was only you and your brain. I mean, you can call other people and see how they're doing and making sure they're okay. But for the most part, a lot of people were depressed. A lot of people were scrambling, looking, what are they going to do about work, money, income, pay rent, this, that. So it brought out a lot in people, and a lot. And I became resilient. I became like, wow, this is really unbelievable. So I'm definitely piggybacking off what John says, that it caused me to focus a lot on myself and grow. And usually, what I would like to say, most of the time when people are on social media and they're having a conversation, they don't like what somebody says. I think sometimes it's because they could see a little bit of it in themselves, of what they're saying. They get something they can relate to, And I think when you can relate to something and you hear somebody else is saying, even though you say it to yourself, but somebody else is saying it and it sounds like they're talking directly to you, you get triggered. You get triggered and you're like, damn. And then you want to defend yourself, right? But you're defending yourself from something that's true. You just don't, you just haven't processed it to accept the truth. That's how I see it.
So this is, man, I don't even know where to start. Um, I consider myself to be a lifelong learner. Like John, I used to hate to read. I mean, I would die before I would read, bro. And then it just got to the point, man. It's like when I started decided to go back to school, like you go do a master's program, that's all you do is read. So I had to get to the point to where I had to force myself to read, but I did it before I started my program because one of the things I got back to doing is reading the Bible every day. So the first thing I started putting in me, putting in my brain was the scriptures, and it got to the point to where I didn't just read it like a book; I studied it like a guide. And when I got to the point of studying it like a guide, it started to reveal some things that I did not see before. So I started making this an everyday practice, and I still do it today. Right. So anywhere between 4:30 and 6:30 in the morning, I dedicate about 30 45 minutes into just reading a chapter and studying that chapter. And then in doing so, one of the things I look for is me. What is this chapter teaching me about me? What are the things that, number one, I do know and something that I didn't know? And then whatever it is that I learned from that study, I try to find a way to implement it throughout the day. And so I may have conversations, talk with people. So now this goes back into the wolf pack thing that you mentioned, right? So I talk with people that I know, not so much as the people that tell me what I want to hear, but the people who understand the fact that I gave them permission to correct me when they see error in me. So I start asking certain questions of them, and then I get feedback, so it starts to make those words come alive. And then, I mean, you guys see my bookshelf, so I got hundreds of books, right? And so I started implementing that. So I made that a practice as well. So periodically, what I do is, like we talked about previously, we started sharing books back and forth. And I think I may have shared like two or three off of my bookshelf. But so I would read those and again look at me and analyze me according to the information in the book. So reading the Bible, getting different books from different authors that have the ability to teach. I mean, I have almost every book that John Maxwell have written. I have stuff from Dr. Caroline Leaf. I have Simon Sinek. I mean, it's a Dr. Joe Desperanza. I mean, it's an endless number of authors' books that I have, and I don't have them just to say I have books. I have them because they're actually an integral part of my development. Um, and then periodically, I also go to conferences, right? So I go to a conference, and so this is part of expanding. I put myself on what I tend to call a progressive growth pattern, right? So I don't get fixed into what I do know. I am looking for stuff that I don't know, right? Because I believe the parts about me that exist that I am unaware of, there lies a level of greatness that I have not tapped into yet. So I am looking for the stuff that I don't know. And so the more I seek to learn what I don't know, the more I'm amazed of how ignorant I really am. Because let's just be honest, all of us have a degree of ignorance in us. Either we agree or disagree. It doesn't really matter. It's still a fact, right? So we have to be on a endless pursuit of continuing to grow. And I got to the point too where I started forcing myself to do so. And I do so by way of books. I do so by way of reading the Bible. I do so by way of the people I surround myself with. And I'm seeking to be around those people who know things that I don't know. And then last but not least, deciding to go back to school, right? So going back to school was an intentional thing for me because it's not about the degree for me. I think that's what a lot of people get their mind wrapped around. Oh, you got this type of degree. Who cares? I am looking for, again, stuff I don't know. So, me pursuing a higher degree is simply just me wanting to understand at a higher level about some of the things that I already know, but then some things I don't know as well. How do you talk to these particular people that may feel as though they have certain statuses in life because of how much money they make or because of this title that they make, or they run an organization that has 1,500 people, right? All of these things. So when we start looking at it, the intentionality about learning happen in the different aspects of who you are, because there's about 8 things that make up the total person. And if we only focus in one area, then that's where we're going to go in. We're going to go astray, right? We can be top heavy in one thing and totally deficient in some other areas of life. And we see it all the time, especially in men. Periodically, and you've heard it throughout the years, men are emotionally disconnected, right? It's not that men are emotionally disconnected. Men have emotions, but you have to understand it has not always been safe for men to share their emotions. So what my goal is to try to help them to get to the point of a better way of expressing themselves. First, understand that you have emotions. They're not bad. You just express them in a bad way. Probably because nobody ever taught you how to express them. Probably because when you were young, they told you, say, "Hey, don't express your emotions. That's not good for man. Stop crying, rub it off, walk it off." So it's just those things, and that's where. And I think John, you mentioned the pandemic. Well, that's where I got to the point of creating the idea behind the podcast, right? So that's what empowering perspectives is all about. Understanding that within the collection of intelligences that we have the ability to not only come up with our own answers for our community, but the collective intelligences of all of us, that answer will be the right answer that we came up with through our shared connections. And that answer should be acceptable in our community because it's not a stranger coming to tell us how to raise our tribe.
Man, there was a lot, man. I had to soak in a lot of that stuff. Like I'm already ready to go back and watch the replay. Um, a lot of great information in there, man. I think one of the things that men struggle with sometimes is time. People say, "Oh, I know I need to read. I know I need to work out. I know I need to do X, Y, Z to feed my brain, but I just don't have the time." So, Coach, you already mentioned it already, but where do you find the time to feed your brain? And I'll start. I'll go first. Here's how I find the time. When I get up in the morning early, 4:30, whatever, and I go for my run, that's when I find my time to feed my brain. I do a lot of podcasts, YouTube videos, motivational videos, speakers, all of those different things. Um, I figured out during the pandemic, how can I get my workout in, and just trying to figure out a time to get all of those things in me, all of that information and education and different things into me. Like I was going to school, I had a whole bunch of things going on, and I just couldn't find. I felt like I couldn't find the time to get that information in me. So I just started incorporating it into my workout. I was already listening to music, so I just switched off the music and threw on, educational things or things that could benefit me, mentally or physically, or just overall as a man, and as better off as a person. And hopefully some of those things, will lead to success. So how have you guys, or where do you guys find time to feed your brain?
For me, it's time. I'm still time management. For me, is something that's always going to be an ongoing thing. Time management. But one thing I don't miss is my workout. That just clears my head. That's for me. That ain't for nobody else. No shine on anybody else. That's just I love knowing that I'm in the condition that I am to do what I need to do, and I have the energy to do it. Now I got to take that energy and I got to put just as much energy that into time management. It's so important, man. And you still got to sleep on top of that. But you don't get much sleep when you're trying to always succeed and go ahead and thrive and become better and become. I mean, that whole 8 hour sleep is a myth in my life because I don't get 8 hours. I'm good with 4 to 6. I'm good. But time management.
So specifically, where do you find that time in your time management to where you dedicate or not dedicate to feeding your brain, to making sure that you get something in your brain that's going to benefit you. Like,
When I'm working, when I'm doing my art, I put something in the background that's positive, inspirational, motivational. The Les Browns of the world, Joe Dispenza, all those other great guys out there. I put that in the background while I'm doing, and I learned that way too. If there's like I just got a bonsai tree, I put that in the background. How to take care of a bonsai tree, because there's a whole life. I didn't even know there was this world out there of people that actually a community of bonsai tree lovers. So I put that on in the background. Anything I need to learn and to understand, I put it on while I'm working so I can absorb it, because that's the best time I'm concentrating, so it sticks. Yeah.
I think for me, um, I like what Antoine said just now. Um, and Uncle Junior, I think we can relate. We used to be in the army for 20 or more years, man, waking up at 4:30 in the morning, getting out there doing PT and all that other stuff. And now we're at the point of retirement. Why go and sleep in? You've conditioned yourself to wake up that early for years. So I continued that tradition. And instead of going out there and doing PT and calling cadence and all that other great stuff, that's the time that I use when I actually do a lot of my reading. I kind of mentioned it previously, between 04:30 and 06:30 is kind of like when I focus on putting something in me. Um, but then I also, when I talk about it from with other organizations, Antoine, I'm gonna take what you said and I'm gonna offer a different perspective on that, because there's a lot of companies that come to me and ask me to help them with time management. And one of the things I help them to understand in the midst of our conversation: why are you trying to manage something that you don't own? Not one person can say that you own time. And if you can't own or manipulate time, then you can't manage it. But what you can do is prioritize your efforts within the scope of time that you do have. So instead
You
of
have time, your own
managing,
time. You have your own
right?
time.
Huh?
You have your own time.
Well, not so much as your own time, but
You give it.
you have your own activities
No, your
within.
own time. The time belongs to you, and your
No,
24 hours
uh,
belongs to you.
again,
No.
it was another perspective, not for you to challenge. Just consider. I'm
I'm
not saying
challenging.
what
I'm not challenging. Just listen.
I'm not saying what you are saying is wrong.
No,
Just listen to what it is I'm saying.
I'm saying, but I'm just saying, if you're gonna say it the way it's meant to be said. You own
Um,
your own time.
okay, so as I'm saying, a different perspective is that you don't own time. A different perspective is that you own your activity within the scope of time. So with that being said, what we're talking about is called priorities. And so when you start prioritizing the things that you would dedicate your time to, then now you start looking at those priorities and you top load the things that are most important. So if I have a list of 10 things, those 10 things which are most important to me, the ones that are highest priority, those are the things I dedicate my time to most time. It's called the 80-20 rule, or better, also known as the Pareto rule, right? So out of those 10 things, I dedicate 80% of my time to the first two. The other 20% is dedicated to the other eight. Therefore, the top tier priorities, they get accomplished first. So when you look at it from that perspective, that helps us to get to the point to where we're taking care of the most important things first within the scope of time that we actually have. And that number 10 thing, we'll find that it's probably not that important anyway. It might be important to somebody else, but it may not necessarily be important to me because it's at number 10. So when you look at it from that perspective, that changes the idea. So we never run out of time to do the most important things that we have. Also, when you start getting into the idea of energy management, you have to take an assessment of at what time of day you have the most energy. For me, that's between 4:30 in the morning and 11:30 in the afternoon. Trust me, after I eat lunch, right around 1 or 2, man, I'm over here doing the neck rotation, a little tired. I got to get up and walk around. So now I am wasting time trying to wake up and become more alert. That's why when I start looking at my priorities, that 80% of the time that I actually spend doing something is done in the earlier portion of the day, because those things are most important to me.
yeah, I can't deny that. There's a lot of good information over there.
And
What about you,
procrastination
John?
is another thing that kills time.
Hmm?
Procrastination, that's another thing that kills time. One's time.
What you got, John?
Now I'll be honest. I'm a weirdo. I don't really. I actually don't sleep a lot. I don't know
Mhm.
what it is. Last few years.
I know.
Yeah. A few years ago, my grandfather died, and I think that was kind of a turning point in my life. But I stopped sleeping as much after he passed. So a lot of nights I'm up. I'll send stuff in the group chat if I end up on TikTok. Sometimes I won't be on TikTok. I have a book next to my bed and I pick up and read. But I'm working on. I just started working. That was what took me so long to get on the show tonight. But I just started back working a little job, and I'm fixing to try to get my workout in the evenings now instead of early in the morning since I have to be at work so early. But when I used to go to the gym every morning, I would always have something on listening to either on Spotify or on. I can't even think of the other app that I listen to, but I got a couple of apps that I actually listen to different stuff. Sometimes I get on YouTube, and when I'm on that treadmill and have something playing like a YouTube video, motivational video from there, I listen to a lot of things related to my business because a lot of them they aren't considered motivational speakers, but they're motivational speakers within our business. So they're talking about different ways to build a business, different ways to stay consistent, different ways to stay motivated. So for the most part, anytime I'm anytime I'm exercising, I'm gonna have something on. You know, I stopped listening to music. I used to listen to music all the time to hype myself up, and then I realized like it had no essence in it. It was just a bunch of noise for real. I didn't need that to hype me up. Listening to different motivational speakers, it'd be like that hypes me up enough. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it comes to people listening to somebody that's in the business. If you listen to somebody that's already a millionaire talk about how to get to it, that'll hype you up. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're trying to be an entrepreneur, you listen to somebody talk about how they got to becoming a millionaire. That'd be them workouts where I been did a couple miles on the treadmill and be trying to figure out why the hell I'm soaking wet and I'm so tired. I did more than what I thought I was gonna do. But I love those mornings. But like I said, being up at night, man, or not sleeping at night, I stay on something, you know. And I don't like I said, I'm a weirdo. I don't use or I don't take things in like a lot of people take them in. A lot of times I look at both sides of what's being said, you know, especially on TikTok. I'll take in the perspective of what, especially what I share in the group, I'll take in the perspective of what the woman says or what the man says, but then I also take in the opposing side. And I try to see both perspectives and have an understanding of both of them. But I over evaluate. Something Coach said that I wanted to piggyback off of and I'm saying the same thing he is, but I take a lot of self-evaluation. I do a lot of self-evaluation. And it's mainly because, like I said, going back to 2020, I had to learn a lot about myself. I had to realize that I am the reason why I am where I am. So I do a lot of self-evaluation on a regular basis. No matter what's going on, I'm self-evaluating. You know, just like taking on this job. Anybody that knows me, that's been around me, knows that I hate jobs. I hate working for somebody. It's not what I want to do. But I'm doing a lot of self-evaluating because I know I'm the reason that I'm working a job. But like that's one of the things that has helped me to become a better person is evaluating myself. And I really don't even give people a chance to. You know, whatever you said, I've already thought about it. Whatever you might be telling me about myself, I've already thought about it. Now, if you tell me in a way that's a different perspective or gives me a different way to look at it, yeah, I'll most definitely listen. But most of the time, I never thought about what somebody said about me because I'm always evaluating myself. I'm always criticizing myself. I'm my biggest critic. You know, I don't let somebody else be my critic. I'm my biggest critic. But though the time for me, I feel like, and it's probably something that we can all agree on. I think we're always feeding our brain. If you're around people on a regular basis, you're always feeding your brain in a way. And my perspective is this: you're always doing it because when you're having a conversation with people, you're feeding your brain. Now you may not realize what you're feeding your brain, and it may not be something that's positive depending on the conversation. But if you're around the right people, the conversation, you feeding your brain good things. Now, depending on the people, you might not be feeding your brain something good, but you're always feeding your brain when you're talking to people. Those conversations they can be eye opening. Like I said again, we don't have a lot of the elders that talk about the stuff that goes on or that has gone on in their lives. But I realize on a daily basis, talking to different men, that we all go through some of the same exact things. We all have some of the same exact feelings. It's just not talked about as much. It's the barbershop talks. You know what I'm saying? Or I was talking to a girl the other day about tattoo artists. I think I said this last week. Tattoo artists are therapists. Barbers are therapists, because when you get in that barbershop, you getting your haircut, you getting a shave. If you've been getting a haircut by this same person for a long time, you're gonna strike up some conversation that's personal. You getting a tattoo by somebody that if you got multiple tattoos like me, I got plenty of them. You have those conversations, especially when you be around those people, you get comfortable with those people. They become therapists because you get to talking about different stuff that's personal. But I've realized that we need to do that more. It shouldn't be just in those positions. We need to do it more, because we got a lot of young men out here that don't know how to express themselves. They express themselves with anger. They express themselves with violence. So we need to do more of this.
So I like everything you said. You talked about the barbershop and different places. So what would, as you think about it, what's the and then we talked about social media a little bit too. We talked about reading books. So what, I know the question says, what is the best way to consume your food or food for your brain? But more so, what are some of the ways that we can feed our brain? Like I said, we talked about books, we talked about social media, but you talked about how taking a break from social media at times too. So and then we've talked about from other men. So what are some good ways that men can consume that food to help build their brain capacity? I guess that's what I want to say.
In my opinion, I would say one of the best ways is having platforms like this where we can talk amongst ourselves, but it's also publicized, because it helps other men to realize, okay, here's a platform that I can listen to and learn. This is definitely food for thought. This show is definitely food for thought, because it's showing other men how to communicate with other men, how to be around the right men to actually feed your brain, as you said. You gotta, and I'm a firm believer in this. In order to do better, you have to be around better. That's one of the things that we talk about in the business. If you want to be around a millionaire, you got to be around. If you want to be a millionaire, you got to be around those millionaires.
Yep.
You got to be around those types of people, because I'm not going to learn how to communicate being around a bunch of people that don't know how to communicate. I got to be around those people that know how to communicate. Being around men like y'all, even though it's just through a video, we still learning from each other. So my personal opinion is, I think that you need to position yourself around people that you want to aspire to be like. And it's not necessarily in person, reading books, podcasts like this, just trying to find people. Trying to find those right people to be around, because it's a lot of things that I haven't learned that I'm still learning, but it's benefiting me great to be a part of this, because I'm learning a lot about myself and a lot of the things that I need to work on. And I'll be honest, I feel like I know I'm right now, I'm the youngest one on here, but I honestly feel like I'm learning a lot from all of y'all, because it's putting me in the position to actually learn something about myself and where I need to work, as well as what I need to look for. I love being around men that actually they can express themselves and nobody gets offended. We might not always agree, but ain't nobody on here mad at each other talking about killing each other. We'll have our disagreements and we'll keep on moving. It's not stopping us. We talked about that last week. We ain't got to agree, but we damn sure can work together and get this accomplished. We can come from any background and get this accomplished.
Yeah, man. I definitely agree with that. Ladies and gentlemen, he's not walking and he's not running, but he is rolling down the street. Welcome, Mr. Rolling, to to the show.
What's going on, brothers? How y'all doing?
Great, man. Hey, man, appreciate you taking time out of your day to come hang out this evening. You know, we understand it's holiday season, and a lot of people are spending time with their family. So I really, want to say it to your face. I really appreciate you taking time out to come over here and hang, man.
Yeah, I had to cut the grandson hair, man. I had to cut his hair before they get started. The
Yeah.
daughter's over there cooking and stuff, you know.
Oh, you cut hair?
I cut who I feel like, people try to make me a barber. No.
Man, look, I've been cutting hair since 1989. I was in the 9th grade when I started cutting hair. When I was in the Army, I'd be in the barracks Friday night, bro.
Yeah.
$3 a head back in the day. This was back in the 90s. Bro, for the time, look,
that sound like with the way prices are now. That sound like that was from the early 80s here.
Exactly.
That was 95 when I was a guy at Fort Carson. And man, we go to the club on Friday night, man. Shoot, like from the time we get off 4:30, 16:30 in the afternoon to about 11:30 at night, I'm cutting hair. You know what I mean? It was like with the same one pair of wall clippers.
See, at least I had a couple pair.
Every man cut 8 heads that night.
Let them cool off a little bit.
Hey, that joker fading, it's edging, it's doing everything.
See, they used to call me the Zohan in Iraq because I sit up there and I was doing women eyebrows and everything.
Oh man, you was on it, bro. You was over there.
Had too much time on our hand. That's what they.
Look, I was over there. I was ironing uniforms over there.
Hey, I'm listening to all this, and I don't understand where y'all found the time to do any of that.
Well, see, hey, you got to find the time. Like you said, Friday nights, because at the time I was with the mid team when we went out the last time with 220. I was with the mid team, and then hey, we had a hospital over there. I had a room in there. They'd be lined outside the door.
Hey man, well, since you're here, man, hey, what's one of the ways, or one of the best ways, or a way for men to consume food for their brain? We talked about, books. We got into, the wolf pack from each other, podcast, different things like that, YouTube. So what are some ways you feel is best for men to consume food for their brain?
Oh, y'all said books, and I got them all around. I think Big J was up there just talking about how he liked to be around like-minded men and just the constant communication. It doesn't have to be the same thing that you believe, but when men can dialogue back and forth, it's just something about it where you learn one from another. Like, man, I didn't know it like that, or I didn't see it like that. But when you can have constant dialogue with positive men that you don't have to agree, but you know that his purpose and your purpose are going parallel one to another. We both reaching for the same goal. We might not look at it the same way, but we're trying to get it how we get it. And I think dialoguing with men, books, and I'm quite sure y'all said all that, and just having an accountability partner, like you guys talk about the wolf pack and everything. When you have that accountability partner to say, hey, bro, you need to pick it up, or it makes you step your conversation and your game up. Like, because I know I'm a jokester. I love to joke. And sometimes jokes may not be what's called for at the moment. So I need somebody like, the coach, he'll be up there like, if you joking and coach trying to get it back in line, he go, okay, we're going to slide it back over here. and that's a good thing, because we all aren't the same, and we're not carbon copies one of another, but we all bring something different to the table. Where you may spice it up over here, Antoine go shoot it straight like that over there, and we all reaching for the same goal, and we're coming out to the same point, and it's about uplifting people.
Speak on it, Coach. I know you got something over there, locked, cocked, and ready to rock.
You know what? I think when you go back and listen to a lot of this, there were a number of things to where, to where we gave examples. We talked about books. We talked about podcasts. We talked about, being around like-minded individuals. We talked about the environment. We talked about, going to school. We talked about a number of different things. I think one of the things I want to bring to this table is that you have to figure out what works for you. Everybody doesn't receive information the same way. This is why academia has gotten to the point to when we develop curriculum is based upon three things: cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. Those are considered the three domains of learning. I have to give you something new information to consider. I have to make you relate to it from an emotional standpoint, and I need to teach you how to do it as well. So not only do I give you new information, I make you relate to the new information, and I also give you the tools and the means to apply the information. This is the concept of teach, coaching, and mentorship. Um, so what we have to do is just figure out what that looked like. Which is the best way for me? Which works best for me? I would be the first person to tell you. So it's not foreign for me to get on the highway and be driving for 2 hours. Well, when I'm driving down the street, like John, I'm not listening to music. So guess what I'm listening to? I'm listening to an audiobook. That audiobook is another way of me doing the exact same thing I would be doing when I'm sitting down flipping pages. Some people don't like audiobooks. That's okay. So I think the idea is that just try different things out and see which works for you.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And like we talked about before, education and learning and stuff, we're constantly evolving. So what may work, now may not work for you in the future. You may have to change, you may have to adjust. Maybe you're not spending as much time working out in the gym, but like you said, coach, you may spend a little bit more time on the road, so there'd be an ample time to get that information in. Ladies and gentlemen, when you sit down tomorrow on Thanksgiving and you're eating your turkey, do not be surprised if you look across the table and see Chris. Chris McClellan.
He on the other side of the table. He on the other side of the table.
Other side of the table. So,
your intros, Garfield.
welcome to the show, brother. Appreciate you coming here. Appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. Like I said, it is, holiday season. Turkey Day tomorrow for a lot of people, whether you celebrate it or not. It is a holiday and most people are off. So I understand that and appreciate you spending time out to come hang out over here on this podcast. So welcome to the show, man, and I appreciate you. So you can jump on this one, and I should have offered it to Roland as well. The question we are on, but if you guys want to switch and change gears, we can go to something else. But what is the best way to consume food, in your opinion, for men? I think we may have already tackled a lot of it, but if you got something to add to it, feel free to do so.
Are you talking like knowledge?
Yeah, like anything used to feed your brain. What's the best way or a good way? We talked about books, we talked about podcasts, we talked about YouTube, talked about these different things. So what is something that you may have found successful for you as a way to get in knowledge and information?
Well, I use all of those methods to feed my mind, but I use the gym to gain knowledge of self, just to see what I'm capable of, just to see how strong I am, just to see how far I can push myself. You understand what I'm saying? So that's where I get the most out of it. And a lot of times when I'm in the gym, like when I'm on a treadmill, I'll turn on an audio book or I'll turn on a YouTube channel to kind of get me going, but also to feed my mind with positivity and something outside of the social norms that we see. So the gym is home to me. So that's where I do a lot of my consumption, whether it be good music or just a good knowledge-based audiobook or a good even a good YouTube video. Sometimes I watch some of these live streams that we've done. Sometimes I play them back because I get little nuggets from them.
Yeah, man, I like that. Antoine, you the only one that hadn't answered this question. So I do want to extend the opportunity to you, man. So I see you found a private chat.
No. John up there, man.
Antoine didn't know about the private chat until last month. I think sometime He didn't know about
I never chat.
yeah, he didn't know about what else he know about the comments and stuff like that. Boy, when he found it, oh man, that was funny. What do you think, Antoine? Where's another way, man?
Another way, you know, I want to piggyback off what John said again. For some reason, John and I are on the same page tonight, boy. I always say it every time I'm on this show. I always say you're as good as the company you keep. I thrive on building myself around good company, like-minded people, people that get my personality, get my character, so I don't have to explain shit. You don't like it? I'm good. Just keep it over there and grow with those people. And he said the key thing, you know, I'm growing my business, my art, and I put myself with people that are the same, that are growing in what they do, right? Because you want to hear how to be a millionaire, you can read all the books you want, but until you hear it come out of a millionaire's voice, you're like, holy shit, really? You think like that? Because yeah, this is common. They don't tell you this in a book. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know. And then they tell you how they manage their finances, you know, and then they sit you down and they say, listen, my bills are just like yours, except my car bill is $3,000 and yours is only $2,000. So it's amazing how they compartmentalize things and get you on that level of thinking. And they'll be the first, all of them say the same thing. You're not liked when you're a millionaire. You're not supposed to be liked. You're supposed to be used. Everybody wants to use or something from you. And you're like, no, really? He goes, yeah. And so you really get an understanding and you grow within that, right? And I would tell anybody coming up or any young kid out there, you really want to know what it's like when you want to do something, you really got to hang around the people that do it. Like if you want to be a good track star, I'm sure if you talk to Usain Bolt or somebody that's actually a top tier runner, they're going to tell you something totally different than somebody that's, from high school. And so I would say, yeah. And I put myself in those positions. Rather, I put it on. I wish I didn't have social media growing up, but now, I mean, you could reach around the world with this stuff, right? And you could hear how people get their art out there, get their social media out there, get what you could find out how to, change your car oil in a certain type of car to do it yourself. And that's a powerful, powerful tool to reach what you want to reach, right? And then again, I would say it again, it comes back to finding the people that are doing what have the lifestyle you want and pick their brains,
Hey, I want to say something real quick.
All right, go ahead.
Are any of y'all in Florida?
Yeah.
Nobody's in. Okay, good. Because me and Antoine agreeing like we agreeing today, it's gonna be 12 foot of snow in Florida.
Oh shoot!
This is rare. It's rare. It's rare now, but we got twice.
Oh shoot!
But John, just to let you know, nobody ever agrees with me, so I'm good with that.
That's why I'm saying it's gonna be 12 foot of snow tomorrow. Everybody gonna wake up wanting to eat turkey. We're gonna need hot chocolate and coffee in the morning.
But see, here's the thing. Here's the thing. This is food right here. The fact that two people who are normally polar opposites can actually meet in the middle and have an understanding. You understand what I'm saying? This is why I play these back, because a lot of times we have disagreements, but we always come back to what it is. And when we get back to what it is, oftentimes we agree with each other. It's just we just go about it different ways. Mm-hmm. This is food right here.
Yeah, and I think sometimes we focus on the negatives so much, where the negatives may be, or the opposites may be this much, whereas everything else we're saying. That's why I don't just like people side with people, say, well, they said this and they said, yeah, but that's not the whole of what he's saying. Listen to everything and then develop your opinion before you just jump to conclusions and make that person exactly what you disagree with.
Like everybody shook their head.
Right
there. Everybody agree with that.
This is why I don't comment on people's stuff on social media, because they'll see one little word that they disagree with, and then you being an asshole. No, you only reading one piece of what I'm saying. You're not paying attention to everything else. When they say eat the
context matters.
Yeah. See, and that happened yesterday on TikTok. This guy, he was saying, please, somebody tell me Cedric the Entertainer didn't say Eddie Murphy was a terrible comedian, this, that, and the other. Because he heard an excerpt of an interview, but what he said was, in today's time, if Eddie Murphy couldn't use the jokes that he used in talking about, homosexuality and all these race and stuff, people would say Eddie Murphy's just a basic comedian. But all they played was Eddie Murphy's just a basic comedian.
I think the idea, if we're just completely honest with you, if we're just 100% transparent, if you are around people that agree with everything that you say, you're not growing anyway. You need people to challenge the way that you think, but they must challenge your thinking from logic, not emotions, and not what they already know. Because a lot of the things that they already know, what you're hearing is just their desire to be right, not their desire to learn anything outside of what they already know.
Man, facts. Hey, we talked about social media, right? And part of our audience and part of one of the things that we all or most of us have talked about doing was sharing information with the next generation. The next generation is on social media. Good, bad, or indifferent, they consume a lot of social media. So if they're on social media and they're going to be on there, then what are some things that you guys may suggest that they look at on social media? If they're going to be on there anyway, what are some things that they should be feeding their brains while they're on social media? And I know that we can go. It's based off of what the individual is working on. I get that part, but also I think that we can come up with a couple of generalizations of some skills or tools that men should be looking at or should be trying to learn, as they progress through life. So, what are some things that you think that we should be feeding our brains, young men and ourselves, in our 30s and 40s?
I'm gonna piggyback off of what Antoine said. A lot of we should. There you go. There you go. I haven't been on here 5 minutes.
I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
Right. No, but I'm gonna seriously piggyback off of what Antoine said, man. If you're on social media and all of this information is available, you need to go to who is doing what you want to do and learn from what they're doing, because a lot of them are posting stuff on here for free that you really don't have to pay money for. A lot of these skills out here, you know what I'm saying, you really don't need to pay somebody $1,000, $2,000 to learn something that you can just click on a Facebook page or a YouTube channel and learn for free. So that would be where I would start. You understand what I'm saying? Figure out what you want to do, type it in a Google search, pull up somebody that's actually doing it and doing it in a manner that's actually beneficial to everybody and not on some selfish shit, and learn. It's simple. I mean, you might have to pay for a consultation here and there, but the broad scale general information is out there. All you have to do is click a button and figure it out.
Yep.
I agree. I also agree in taking it a step further. You did hit on it. I think that, yes, you can find a lot of information on YouTube. You can watch a whole bunch of videos on cooking. At the same time, if you want to be a good cook, you're going to have to start applying some of those things to your life. Just the same thing as the content you may receive about being the best version of yourself. And you're only going to get a certain amount from a YouTube video. One of the things that you're not going to get from a YouTube video is you're not going to get the cheat code. You know what I mean? They're going to give you a certain amount, but certain things that you're going to have to pay for. Sometimes those micro adjustments that make huge adjustments in your life can be super beneficial. So, yes, I'm a firm believer that you can get a lot of information off YouTube. I also believe that sometimes, like Coach said, taking it to the next level, you may have to invest in some of that information. Like I said, everybody ain't going to give you everything.
That's it. Pay for the specifics, what you need, that you need him to talk to you for those specific points. I always listen to everything, and then when I have specific questions, specific things I need to know about what's going on in my life, then I'll invest in me. I'll invest in me. I look at it as investing in me when I pay somebody for some information on YouTube, right? It's because I'm investing in me. So I have no problem paying when it comes to investing in me, right? So I will pay whatever that person's asking for and he's going to give me the exact answer I need.
That's another thing. Right. And that's another thing that I was going to kind of tap into. A lot of people look at the amount of money that these people charge and say, I'm not paying you for this. But what you don't understand is that little $500 to $1,000 session that you have could make you millions if you apply it right. It's not about paying somebody for something. It's about, okay, this dude has something that I need, so I'm going to invest in myself and pay this man to give me what I need so that way I can be successful. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So yeah, I fully agree with that.
Awareness. I'm sorry, go ahead, John.
I wanted to piggyback off both of what y'all were just saying, as well as Antoine. It was one of the things that I was gonna say, that kind of is the cheat code for me, because it's like when you pay somebody, you're paying to bypass the mistakes. You're paying to avoid the hardships that you might deal with. But also the other thing I wanted to add to what everybody was saying about what do you need to look for. And I hope that a lot of people see this, and I hope this particular podcast, I hope everybody sees this that has enough sense to understand what I'm fixing to say. You don't owe nobody a goddamn thing. When it comes to social media, you do not have to be friends with your family. You do not have to be friends with folks you went to school with. Be friends or follow people that are actually trying to be positive. Be friends or follow people that are actually trying to make changes in their lives. Be friends with people that are actually going to uplift you.
Yep.
I think a lot of people, social media started out as a way to, kind of keep in contact with family and friends. But I'll be completely honest, I'm not friends with but a couple of my family members. And it's simply because I don't take advice about what I'm trying to accomplish from somebody that makes $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year. And I'm not trying to knock that, but that's not what I'm trying to do. So I want to be around people that's making more than that. I want to take advice from people that's doing more than that. If you want to be successful, you have to position yourself around successful people. One of the things, and the question is perfect, but it needs one adjustment, in my opinion. You have to realize that your diet is not just about what you eat. It's about what you take in, what you consume. Your eyes are consuming. Your mind is consuming what your eyes are eating. If you're on social media and you always seeing a bunch of bullshit, people fighting, negative shit, talking about the hot topics, and them same folks doing the same shit you doing, you ain't gonna grow. You're gonna stay in the same damn stagnant ass position that they in, because 9 times out of 10, their life is consumed with the hot topics. People that are highly successful, they don't give a fuck about hot topics. They're focusing on how to continue to build what they have. If your goal is to build something, you got to pay attention to the people that are already building something, not people that's worried about the hot topics. Yeah, it's cool, you can talk about them, but where does the growth come? Where does the accountability come?
There you
got to
go.
hold yourself accountable. It's that's the biggest thing for me. You can have an accountability partner, but you got to hold yourself accountable. You got to. Hey, there's no way around it. You got to be willing to say, okay, this shit my fault. I'm not successful because I ain't putting my foot forward. You get Uncle Junior, you were saying you're not gonna get the cheat codes. I was gonna say you're not gonna get the results if you don't actually try. You can watch 100,000 cooking videos, but if your ass don't get in the fucking kitchen and try that shit, you ain't gonna never see no results. Just because you think you know how to do something, you don't know how to do a damn thing until you actually do it. I got a $3,000 grill sitting in front of my house right now that I didn't know how to use until I actually started working my ass off and putting everything on that grill and learning how to cook on it. I watched all kind of videos, did all kind of research, but I didn't know how to use that grill till I actually started using it.
I bet you burned up some meat in the process, didn't you?
Now, actually, I'm gonna be honest with you. I actually didn't burn up any meat, but I over smoked it because it's a reverse flow smoker. Mm-hmm. So I didn't burn it up. It was just over smoked. When I learned how to make the adjustments to where it wasn't over smoked, I can't keep my stuff.
The key is you made a mistake,
right?
And you learn from it,
correct?
And you grew from it. They say, and I think I said this last time. Since we were talking about expanding, they say if you hang around 5 millionaires, you'll become the 6th one. But if you hang around 5 bums, you'll become the 6th bum. You understand what I'm saying? So I get being around the people that are doing what you're doing in a positive manner, that's willing to uplift you and not put their middle class mindset on your 6-figure mind frame.
There you go.
Yeah. What you got, Coach?
I want to add to all of this, and I kind of want to baseline it because let's just be honest. Everybody's not going to be a millionaire. I want to make
Most
sure I
people
say
won't.
that. Was that now?
Said most people won't.
Most people won't. There's a very small percentage of the population that ever becomes a millionaire. So I don't want to give a perspective to every, as the old folks like to say, every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there that's thinking they're going to be a millionaire. You're not. You're just not going to happen. I'm okay with having the desire to be a millionaire. However, this is where I want to start off with. First and foremost, what are you passionate about? Right? Because there's a whole plethora of information out there. The difference between this generation and the generation when we were kids, right? We had Encyclopedia Britannica. So we had a very delayed information gathering process. These kids today, I mean, they get information at the speed of light.
Yeah.
And guess what? All of it is distractions. Because John, you're a barber, right? John, you're a barber?
No, I got a barbecue business. I do life insurance and investment.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I don't know why I thought you was a barber. Okay, so John is good at cooking on the grill. Antoine is an artist. That gentleman, I get my fingers rest. That gentleman right there, he does whatever he want to do whenever he want to do it because he's retired. He done serves his country. That gentleman, wrong side. That gentleman all the way on the end over there, he's a school counselor, right? And he is the consistency coach. And that gentleman down there, all the way in that corner over there, right? He is developing himself into what he wants. And that's why I saved him for last, because I think that's the key. You need to determine what it is you want to do, what attracts you, what keeps you up at night. Like, if you cannot do this, will it send you into a depressive spiral? Focus your energy on one thing and then pursue that. Gather the information on that and then find somebody that's good at it. And once you find somebody that you know is good at it, that's going to give you the information on the internet for free. Because I'm gonna give you the true cheat code. The true cheat code is awareness is free. I'm gonna say it again. Awareness is free. That's what you're gonna get on the internet. And you may get something that's going to entice you that where you have an emotional connection, cognitive, affective, psychomotor, you're gonna pay for. I'm trust me when I tell you, I would give you a lot of free chicken on the podcast. But if you want me to work one-on-one with you, it's gonna cost you, because there was a lot of work I placed in myself to be able to get people to get to the how-to. There's a lot of people who know a lot of good things that can't teach their way out of a brown paper bag. I'm just being completely honest. However, what you have to understand, when you have a specialist that is good at a thing and have learned how to make it practical and can teach practicality to other people, that's the people that you want to pay. Because here's the idea. The most important investment you will ever make in your life is the investment in yourself. There are too many people out there right now that want something for nothing. Trust me, something for nothing will actually yield you nothing. You're going to get some degree of success, but it's not going to be anything close to what you want. So my thing is, focus your energy on what it is that you're passionate about, what you want to do, and then go in that direction, and then find a specialist that's good at it, right? And then pay that person to make you great.
Man, that was
Coach,
a lot.
Coach just gave a benediction.
I know, right?
Are we gonna pass the plate around now?
Dude,
The dinner plate.
they're part of it. Hey, shout out to Antoine in the comments, man. Hey, man, we appreciate you always being here, always supporting the show, man. For real, you always dropping information, knowledge, and different things like that, you know. So always appreciate you. I know it's Thanksgiving Eve. You know, we talked earlier this week about your plans and stuff like that, man. So you enjoy your holiday tomorrow, and you know, tell the family and everybody I said hello. Personally, for me and Antoine work
From
together.
all of us.
From all of us. There you go, Antoine, the whole fam.
Does
Absolutely.
anybody know that guy? Because his name is spelled French, and I'm curious to know if he has any French in him.
He works with me. Me and him work together.
Is he French in any way? Because that's the French way of spelling it.
I think that's really the only way I've known.
No, it's Antwane. Some people spell Antoine. That's why I was like looking at it, going like, well, that's, you know. It don't get more French than the way that's spelled.
But he's listening, so maybe he'll chime in the
Yeah.
comments and let. Oh, there you go. He said not French.
Okay.
So, hey, it is what it is, man. Where was we at, man?
Hey, can I
Go ahead.
can I add one more piece to
Please
what I
do.
said? Okay, I think this is important, right? People don't charge you money because they're looking to get rich off of you. I want to make sure I say that. They're charging you money for a couple of reasons. Number one, they need to understand that you're serious about their time. That's the first thing. The second thing, when you pay for a thing, you're already sacrificing your hard earned money for your development. So you're igniting a law that will actually work on your behalf. All you got to do is dedicate your energy and efforts to that thing. You've already made the sacrifice in paying for it. Once you apply the energy and efforts behind it and then apply persistency to your energy and efforts, then it will come to pass. So I want to make sure I say that because there has been a lot of stigma behind paying for stuff. And I don't know where that comes from, but you need to understand that no one's going to give you anything for free.
I think a lot of that what came from that was people feeling like it's almost like if you're a plumber, somebody got a stopped up drain, they can't fix it. You work on it 5 minutes and you fix it. They feel like they shouldn't have to pay you what you say. They feel like you should be able to. You should give what you know. That people want what you said before. People want something for nothing. That it's. I want the laziest way I can possibly get it to do this. That's what it is.
Yeah. So let's talk about that then, because I think that that's important too. I think that men should have mentors and or coaches or something like that. Um, at some point in their life to learn from. I think those things are very important. I know myself and I know Coach are certified trainers and speakers and different things like that through John Maxwell. And maybe other people are here and maybe we just don't know about it. But so to come get the cheat code from me and Coach, certain things you're going to have to pay for, just being real. So with that being said, though, what are some of the importance or what are some of the things that y'all think that you benefit from having those one-on-one sections or those where you have paid for something and got the benefit? And I'll start with one. I paid for a course, to be actually it was well, I don't want to say it right now. So I paid for a course last year, and with the course, it came an opportunity once a week to sit down with with the person who had the course. Now, this person is blue checked on social media, all these different things. The course I think was $2,500, right? So people are like, man, that's a lot of money for a course. Yes, it is. But every single week I was sitting down with this guy, I was able to ask him questions about life, about whatever it is I wanted to. Other men was on the show. Sometimes it may be 30 or 40 guys on there and he's speaking. So when you got questions, you can go directly to the source. It's different if you watch a YouTube video and you got a question, you're watching a cooking video and you got a question about, man, salt or something like this or blah, blah, blah. Well, when you're watching a video, you can't ask the question then. You got to hope that they put out another content, or send them an email or something. When you paying for it and you get the one-on-one, you can ask them right there. You can ask them people anything you want. And you get that one-on-one information, that super, super cheat code that you can use. And then if you apply it to your life, there's no, nothing's guaranteed at the end of the day. At the same time, you get some really good information when you talk to somebody one-on-one. Right here, it's 6 men right here. If you was just to talk to one of us, you'd only get a certain amount of information. But you come in, you got 6 different minds, 6 different experiences and stuff like that. But if you really want to know about artists and about painting, man, Antoine got the cheat code right now. You know what I mean? But he can only give you a certain amount of it for free. You know what I mean? Like Coach was saying, it's time. Are you invested? A whole bunch of other different things that go along with it. So, yeah, I spun off, but we all.
I paid a millionaire to tell me how his way of thinking to get to the path he did to get where he did, because he did come from nothing. And I said and what was so good about this guy, he goes, okay, wait, before I even tell you my story, I need to know what you're doing in your life that you think it could take you to become a millionaire. Because that's all I care about. I don't care what anybody says. We don't care about all that other hoopla shit. I want to be comfortable, right? Because in this modern time, that's what it's about for me. And I really wanted to know the formula on how they think. And he broke it down to me. He says, okay, first tell me what you do, what you are, and where you. And he broke it down that he found out what I was doing in my life, and then he compartmentalized it to say, okay, this is how. So I'm taking your life experience, and I'm telling you, this is the formula of how you have to do that's specific for you to go here. And I said, so you saying if I do that, it was guaranteed. And sure enough, he was right. Right. So I was like, okay, so there is a way of thinking pertaining to what you do in life, that there's a path that these guys know once they know your life to tell you how to get to it. That's how I could say it. And that was worth every damn cent. And I'd pay it again.
I
wouldn't laugh.
Yeah, we all caught that in the private chat.
Yeah.
What was that?
Check the private chat. Oh,
I'm guilty, man. I'm guilty. I'm sorry.
hey, look, that's what the private chat does.
Like, I cannot with y'all right now. Happy Thanksgiving.
Look,
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna say two things real quick.
Yeah.
I want to, since we on Thanksgiving Eve, I'm thankful for coming across y'all, man. I'm thankful for Vic introducing me to y'all, and I'm thankful for this show. And I am definitely thankful for meeting y'all, because I thoroughly enjoy this. This is almost like a counseling session for me. So it definitely helps me out when we get on here and we can laugh, talk shit, and actually come up with real deal solutions at the same time. The other thing that I wanted to say is, I think when you pay somebody for their experience, you're paying, like I said before, you're paying for the bypass. You're paying for that cheat code.
Yep.
So you in so many ways, when you pay somebody to have that one-on-one, you're paying for a personalized personalized training session to do what you're trying to do. Because if you have a goal in mind, sometimes you don't know exactly how you're going to accomplish that goal. It's like one of the things that I think Uncle Junior, you might have saw my post about I'm killing my business off. I'm not gonna pursue it 100%, but I'm doing that because I'm pursuing financial services 100%. One of the things that we talk about in financial services is having a financial GPS. And we call it basically it's I can't think of the term now. We do it for free, but it's basically we create a personalized map for you to get from where you are to where you want to be financially. Yeah. So it's basically a personalized GPS. When it comes to paying someone, a professional or somebody that's already doing what you want to do, you're paying for a personalized GPS to get there. Now, the reality of it is this, and it goes back to something I think everybody kind of said, is you're not going to get the results if you don't actually take that trip. You're not going to get no results. If you don't actually take the chance or take the opportunity to use what they give you, I mean, it does no good. So people don't want to pay a lot of times because they ain't going to do the actual work, and they know they are. So that's where the I don't want to pay for it comes from. They know they ain't going to do the work because they're looking for the easiest way to get rich. There's no, and like Coach said, everybody ain't going to be a millionaire. Everybody ain't going to be rich. Everybody ain't going to be wealthy. Everybody ain't going to have 6 figures coming in their household. The reality of it is this. It's possible. It's possible for anybody, but you have to be willing to do the work. And that's the problem. That's why people don't want to pay for things, because they feel like, I don't really want to do the work. I want you to give it to me. You know, in our business, we have the opportunity to recruit people so we can build our business in a manner that I don't have to do all the work. I've got somebody that I can work with to do the work. But when you recruit some people, they have a mentality of give me a team and I'll build from there, rather than actually building a team that they can work with. And that's one of the things that's business. That's business anywhere. Anywhere you go, the jobs recruit you, but they recruit you for you to do the work. And it's the same way in business. If you have a business where you can actually recruit people to actually do the work, You have to recruit people that's going to be willing to do the work. And I feel like that's one of the biggest problems that we have. That's one of the biggest reasons why people don't want to pay stuff, because they're unwilling to actually do the work. They want the easy road. There is no easy road when it comes to success. You are going to fail your way into success. You are not going to just jump into anything and say, I'm going to be 100% success. There's nobody that's had 100% success rate. Everybody that you consider successful, they failed their way there. They struggled. They were wherever, whichever road they took, they struggled all the way there. And now that they're there, yeah, you gonna pay me if you want my personal opinion or you want my personal information on how to do this. But you still gonna have to do the same thing. You're gonna have to fail your way there, because 9 times out of 10, and we can all be honest with each other, most of us don't listen to everything they say. Because a lot of times we become arrogant and thinking that we know better. Well, he did it this way, I think I can do it this way and do better. No. One of the first things that I remember hearing when I decided I wanted to be an entrepreneur was find somebody that's doing what you want to do and go do exactly what they're doing. And the problem with that statement is people they hear that, but then the thing, when they see what they did, they're like, I can do it better. No, do exactly what they did and you can be successful.
Yeah.
Simple.
Hey, I want to hear from Roland real quick on his thoughts about mentorship, paying for it, not paying for it, yada, yada, yada. And then after that, I want to jump to the final thoughts and close out the show.
Can I say this one thing? This guy told me that. He goes, you're right. He goes, this is such a good counter. Not everybody is going to be a millionaire. But he says everybody has an option to choose to be a millionaire. And I said, what do you mean by that? He goes, I'm not talking about the ones, dirt poor, third world country. I'm talking about people that are financially sound, have a good head, roof over their shoulders, can speak English and operate properly. It's a choice to be a millionaire. You may not everybody's going to be one, but everybody has a chance and a choice to be one. And I thought that was very good. He didn't eliminate anybody. He just said, it's a lifestyle, it's a choice, and it's a path. And there's a lot of sacrifice, but you have the option to be one. That's what I want to say to that. And I took that to heart. So I was good about that.
Now, I think that when it comes to mentors, everybody needs mentors. But I think fear, pride, and laziness gets in our way. Because when we will say, I want to do that because it's catchy. I want to do this. And it's not really our passion. And instead of hunkering down, digging into it, saying whatever comes, I'm gonna brush that off and continue in this journey. We will, once it starts getting rough, we'll say, okay, I quit, I give up. And you give up right before. It's like when you got a baby, you gotta follow through with that thing. When the baby come, I done seen about 7, 8 of these grandkids born. And once it's coming, it's coming. You can't push it back up in there. Hey, I see the head. So sometimes when success is there, you can see the head, but if you don't push through that thing, if you don't stick with it, you'll fail every time. You'll abort. And I think that's one of our problems, where we get too lazy, too complacent, and we don't want to listen. We don't want to listen to somebody who's already where we are trying to go, but we won't listen. And that's part of our issue, where we think, well, I know I got it all. Okay, he got me this far, I can get there. And when it comes to money, if something is cheap, it's cheap for a reason. That's how I look at things. Like when I'm because I'm one of them avid buyers on Amazon and stuff. So I'm like, okay, if these are similar items and this one is $10 and this one is $300, what's the difference? So then you look at the details, you're like, oh, the cheap one has some bad reviews. So you can't always go with the cheapest product. You got to go with something that's been there and stable and is proven. And we have a lot of proven people who they know their worth. And just because they may have a brash demeanor, we won't go to them, because that speaks to your own man. We talking to man. That speaks to your own man here. If you can't grab your nuts and say, okay, I'm going to take a little criticism. I'm going to take somebody sitting up there. He may bark a little bit, but I understand that he's trying to get me to a certain level. And when it comes to teaching, when I was in the military, I taught at AIT level. And before you had to teach at the AIT level, you had to go to training yourself so you could learn the product. so that you can be a subject matter expert. And when you became an expert, you got a certificate, and then it says that you can teach this to whomever. And when it came down to it, the student can't teach you anything, because you should know, one, you have the certificate, you have the time put in and the lessons learned. And when you have those lessons learned, just like anything else, you can charge whatever market value is.
Hey, I like it. Amen. We're gonna wrap up with the final thoughts. We're gonna start with John. I put the order in the chat just in case y'all can see it in the private chat. So, John, man, we're gonna start with you.
I don't know. I'll say this, and this is just my personal perspective. Coach gave the benediction earlier. We laughed about it, but Coach kind of he opened and closed us out. He gave great words, and all honesty, I think for me, I don't really have anything else to say for real other than continue to strive. Roland just said something that was great. A lot of people quit before the level of success happens because things aren't going the way that they're going. That's something that a lot of entrepreneurs or people that want to be entrepreneurs, they make the mistake of quitting because things aren't going the way they want them to. Keep going. I'm a firm believer. I've invested into being a investment broker, a life insurance agent, and it's something that I refuse to give up. I'm not giving up on the company. I'm not giving up on making money. I'm not giving up on building my business how I want it, simply because I've seen the results. So going back to what Roland said, don't give up. Keep fighting. And Coach, I appreciate you most definitely tonight, boss. You gave me the benediction. I'm ready to eat now.
Oh, final thoughts. I guess you've all already heard it. Feed your mind with things that are going to help you get to where you need to go in a positive manner, where you're not hurting anybody in the process. It takes a lot. You have to get rid of your ego when you do that too, because you're not always right and you don't know everything. And there are going to be people that are going to constructively criticize what you are doing. Don't take that as hating, because most of the time, those people who are constructively criticizing what you are doing, they love you to death and they want to see you succeed more than they do. So just keep that in mind. Always keep learning, always keep striving, never give up. Those are my final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I think final thoughts for me would be find yourself a mentor, become an avid reader. Even if you're reading 1 and 2 pages a day, even if you're reading periodicals or newspaper ads or whatever, read something besides posts and text messages. Make sure that you stimulate your own mind, because when you stimulate your own mind, it'll send you to other avenues where you can find things, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be on social media, or whatever. You can find passions in any and everything. And when you find your passions, then you will start to seek out people that are in that same vein and they're walking in that same likeness. And you'll start to uplift your own self. Because when you can uplift yourself, then you have no choice but to uplift those around you if they are going to be around you.
Ooh, my final thoughts. There should be no limit on how much you spend on yourself in order to succeed, to learn. The best investment you can make is invest in yourself and your abilities and whatever it takes for you to get to where you need to be. And if you have to pay to get a shortcut, pay it. Because if you're dedicated in what you do, and that's the way it is, that's what you have to do. Another thing I would say is, love what you do. Therefore, it's not considered work. When you love what you're doing and you're pursuing it and it's your passion and you're going for what you want and you're realistic about your expectations, not delusional, realistic, It doesn't feel like work. Therefore, all you have to do is focus on your goal and you want. And if you do what you love doing, monetary money will come afterwards. It will come because you become that good at it that people will pay you for what you do. And another thing I always say, you're as good as the company you keep. It's okay if everybody doesn't like you. You don't want everybody to like you because then there's less people to ask for money from you or to borrow from you. You know, I have a handful of friends, but I got a lot of acquaintances. Keep it that way. You know who your friends are. You know who could put you in check and bring you back down to reality. Circle yourself with those people, right? Because when be careful who you shit on the way up because you never know who you're going to smell on the way down. So be very careful in who you socialize with, right? That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, so my final thoughts, and I don't want to regurgitate what was already said. One of the things I want to focus on is that you've heard a lot. You've heard a lot of information about some of the things that you can do to pour into yourself. Um, I also want to kind of hang my hat on the fact that every person needs to be coachable and trainable. I think that's important to understand. You've heard some examples to where I think John mentioned it to where he was told to go find somebody who's doing it and do exactly what they do. Well, the only person who can do that is a person who's actually trainable and coachable. And he gave the perfect response because a lot of times what people tend to do, they want to go and recreate the wheel. I want to kind of change gears here because I think it's important to understand that, and I mentioned it earlier, that you could be top heavy in one thing and lacking in a number of other things. There are 8 dimensions that make up the total person. It's called the 8 dimensions of wellness. So you need to focus on, and these 8 dimensions are emotional, spiritual, intellectual, physical, environmental, financial, occupational, and social. So you need to focus on, as you're putting this information in your head, you need to focus on making yourself emotionally healthy, spiritually healthy, intellectually healthy, physically healthy, environmental, like all of these things make up the total person, right? So when you start looking at it, it's not about how much money I can make, or it's not about how many friends you have, or how many people like you on social media. Who cares about any of that? The idea is, what is your metric of success? What defines success for you? I think the best definition of success I ever heard came from Earl Nightingale. And he said the definition of success is the progressive awareness of a worthy idea. So when you grasp that, then you will realize that you can probably make $200,000-300,000 a year and be perfectly fine. Not necessarily content, but you could be happy and you can have a joyful life. You can have a joyful family. You can have a great circle of friends, and you're not robbing Peter to pay Paul. And I think that's the answer. So focus on those 8 things. Again, emotional, spiritual, intellectual, physical, environmental, financial, occupational, and social. And that's it.
All right, so my final thought is this. One of the things that really stood out with me was something Roland said, but everybody has been doing it today. Everybody has been talking, but one thing that Roland said was listening. And this goes into what Coach was talking about when he's saying that you have to be coachable. You have to be able to listen and listen to wise counsel when you hear it. There's a whole bunch of different things on social media that may or may not be good for you. And you have to be able to determine and look between the lines to see what's good for you and what's going to benefit you and what's not going to benefit you. So having the ability to be able to listen to wise counsel for me is something that I want to close out with when it comes to my final thoughts is you see good information, you find a good podcast out there, you find a good YouTube channel like this one, Across the Table with Chris, Empowering Perspective podcast, Code Talk with Vic. When you find a good podcast or something like that, share it, listen to it. Because a lot of good information out there. There are a lot of panels out there. Some got some garbage and some of them got some good things. Like I said, find something that's good for you, listen to it, and soak it in. And for the most part, that's my final thought, gentlemen. But other than that, man, thank you all for joining today. Appreciate all y'all being here again. Like I said, I understand it's the holidays and a lot of people are traveling. People are in hotel rooms, different things like that. People spending time with family, yada, yada, yada. Thank everybody who joined the show from the chat, from that watched live from at home, and those who are going to watch this on replay. Appreciate all the thoughts and information that everyone has shared with us today. Thank you all to the Most Elevated Chat on YouTube for doing what they do. And last but not least, again, thank you everybody who tuned in today and all of you guys. You guys have a great one. I enjoyed y'all, and we'll see y'all next week. And where's that button at?